What is up? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for swinging into the Pixel Playground. My name is Matt. I'm joined tonight by my co-host, the Frenchman, Frenchie. It's Tori's birthday. He couldn't be with us. He's out doing whatever Tori does, so it's just the two of us. How you doing, Frenchie?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah.
Just for the audience, Tori's been canceled. Cancel culture has caught up with him. We have let him go.
There you go.
He decided to celebrate his birthday instead of be here with us, which is unacceptable.
How dare you for a company that doesn't pay you, that doesn't make any money at all?
Priorities, I guess,
talking,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
Right.
Didn't you have a little birthday celebration?
My birthday was yesterday.
Okay.
So yeah, I did have a little celebration. It was fun. Got together with some friends, went, wine tasting or whatever. Took the daughter out with us and went to like a little family friendly place. It was cool. It was low key. Like at this point in my life, it's, my birthday is whatever,
Yeah.
like I'm sure right? Your birthday is kind of like, eh.
I got
I
my
actually had
40th coming up.
I actually had an epiphany though.
What's that?
Remember when you were a kid and it was like Christmas time and Santa comes, you get all your presents, you get some good stuff under the tree is looking amazing or whatever. Then like your dad opens his stuff and he gets some like aftershave, he gets socks,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. You remember that?
Yeah.
I think I've figured it out. It's so that you're not the only one opening things, right? But then also they don't want to spend money on themselves for Christmas.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
I
like,
can see that.
I need new socks. I'll just buy myself socks and wrap them and then put them under the tree.
Well, that's how I feel like as I'm, adulting and I have a career now. Like I feel like if there's something I want to buy, I just buy it. Like I don't think about it. So like I'd imagine getting presents for me would be pretty difficult.
Yeah. Oh,
So
me too. Me too.
yeah, even the smallest thing like that's cool. Like I'll take a pair of socks. I'll take aftershave, like you said. And
Yeah.
part of that's just like we don't want the kids opening the presents the whole time. We'll kind of take turns opening, or everybody has something to open. But yeah, so how was taking the kid with you, drinking wine, having a good time with your friends, and
I mean, it's not like we're raging or anything like that, right?
yeah,
It was my birthday, so there was kind of like an unspoken agreement between me and my wife that she was going to drive. Like I didn't get like wasted or anything, but I had a couple glasses of wine. So, you
yeah,
want to be safe and you don't want to, drink and drive and do all that stuff. So,
yeah,
yeah, it was fun. This place in particular has a lot of land. It's very family friendly. There's stuff for the kids there. Like little, there was a ton of kids there, to be honest.
okay,
Um, it was a good time. It was a
yeah,
good time. I think there are certain wineries that are definitely a little bit more of your 20 somethings type of spot, but this one a lot more family friendly.
yeah. That's awesome, man. There's definitely a lot of options in that area. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, right on, man.
definitely. Well, I mean, let's jump into it, man. What are you playing? What have you been what have you been dabbling in?
I have finished Stellar Blade,
Okay.
and I actually platinumed it. I know
Nice.
last time we talked about it, I had mentioned that I didn't want to go for it because there was 1,000 freaking collectibles.
And
But
you have to do them all, right?
no, you actually don't. So that's
Oh, okay.
why I went for it, because it wasn't as like nauseating as I thought it could have been. Because
Yeah.
that's probably like my least favorite thing in video games. I feel like if collectibles don't have a purpose, you're just doing it just to gather them all for a trophy or for whatever. It's just like this is not why I bought your game.
Yeah.
The good thing about it is like the collectibles actually mean something. Like every time you grab one, you get experience for it. So like you can
Okay.
use that experience to like level up your skill tree, and the skills are pretty meaningful. Like they have good intent, and you actually know the differences because
Yeah.
they'll unlock abilities or unlock more beta attack power, and they're just they're basically useful. Like the easiest way to put it.
Right.
Um, but essentially, like yeah, so once you get to like a certain amount of collectibles you've gathered, there's like a 100% bar that you have to reach with Lily, who's the other character who's an engineer. So
Okay.
once you gather enough stuff, then once you get 100%, you can just kind of stop if you want to. And I organically did it. Like I just was exploring every nook and cranny of this game, and I actually
Right.
thought it was pretty fun. And there's a lot of cool things, just environmental puzzles, and you see something up in the sky, it's like, how am I going to get there? You got to do a little bit of platforming, a little bit of climbing and stuff like that. So I had a good time just exploring everything. um as far as like everything else, like the combat's the star of this game. Like the pairing mechanic is just so satisfying, and there's different dodges. Sometimes like the bosses, they'll glow blue, and you have to push forward dodge, or the glow purple
Yeah.
back dodge. So it kind of, or you can parry. Like there's a bunch of different ways of going about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is cool. I like the sound effect that it plays when you get that perfect parry. It's like it's the clanking of like the weapons, but it's like slightly distorted as the time
Mhm.
slows down. So that like little warping sound. It's kind of cool. I dig it. I guess I should say that I've also dabbled in Stellar Blade, not nearly obviously close to beating it.
Yeah.
But I'm coming around on it. The demo, for whatever reason, maybe it was just because I was in the middle of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and how great that game is and how emotional the dialogue and stuff was. I wasn't feeling the story or whatever.
Mhm.
I thought it was like cheesy in the demo. But after playing through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, giving it some time, just kind of like really low key playing stuff like Fortnite and Street Fighter 6 just to like cleanse my palate. I
Yeah.
jumped into Stellar Blade, and I played through a little bit more than I did last time. So a little bit more than like the intro section.
Okay.
And it's not bothering me as much. I'm okay with it. So
Yeah.
um I thought I was gonna put it on I think it's Korean because Shift Up is a Korean studio, correct?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, so I thought about putting it in Korean language, but I kept it on English. And I do think it's funny that no matter any foreign studio making a game with like English speaking people, if they're not specifically American, they all speak with an English accent, which I think is hilarious. But
That's true. Yeah.
it's just some like it's just some trope that they like to stick to. I do enjoy it. I tried messing around with different things. Short ponytail, not the way to go. Anybody who's playing short ponytail is grabbing themselves.
I
Some
switched it.
flowing hair.
I have
It
I have
didn't
a
look
short
good.
ponytail now.
Oh my god, it doesn't look good. It feels like it's cut off a little too short. Like I wanted her hair to be as long as Tacky's hair is in the beginning, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then like it's a little too short. It's just like, man, at
It's
this point, why don't you just like roll it up in a bun? Because
it kind
it's
of
not
got in the
hanging
way.
quite right.
You
I
know.
mean, I don't know. I don't know.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the combat's obviously amazing. I don't know, like the music in this game was just phenomenal, like throughout the whole game, like from beginning to end. Uh it's obviously it's Korean. Like there's
Sure.
a woman singer. I don't know what the hell she's saying, but it just sounds nice.
Yeah.
And a
Very
lot of the boss
unassuming
fights.
too, by the way. Like it meshes well with the background, and you just kind of like when you're exploring through the world in between fighting and stuff, it's just
Mhm.
it's not up in your face. It's very
Yeah,
mellow and like in the background, which is kind of cool.
a lot of it's just soothing. It's just
Yeah.
really relaxing to listen to, and
Yeah.
even like the at your camp when you're listening to all the different elevator music type songs, like it's just really chill, and it's just like it's like a whole vibe to it, and then
Definitely.
it definitely picks up like when you're fighting certain bosses, like the music will ramp up and kind of get you amped up for the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so combat's awesome, music is awesome, the exploration was rewarding and fun to do. I gotta say, like, we got to give these devs a lot of credit. Like Shift Up, they're Korean developers. They pretty much were working on mobile games exclusively, so this is their first console release, and I got to say, like, it's polished as hell. Like it
Yeah.
performs really well. They gave us 3 graphics modes. We can favor
Mhm.
resolution, you can do balanced, or favor frame rate. I'm
Did you
taking
do what'd you
balanced.
do?
I
Balance?
did balanced, and like I felt like it's been a solid 60 the whole time.
Yeah, I did balance. I have a VRR TV, so for the most part, I guess according to all the people in the know, that balance aims for 60. It'll dip occasionally when the screen gets really busy, but like
Mhm.
VRR helps take away some of that impact from that. So I haven't noticed it. It's buttery smooth for me, and I've really been enjoying the bit that I've
Yeah.
played, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it, man.
Are you doing balance mode as well?
I am, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I have a VR TV too, so like I didn't
Yeah,
notice
so
any
it's
dips
probably
at
why
all.
you didn't notice. Yeah, it's picking up the slack.
Yeah. So
So
if you think about it, like the Polish game, they gave us New Game Plus at launch. I haven't well, I'm done with the game, so I didn't experience any bugs.
sure, yeah.
No microtransactions for all the outfits. You can get them all naturally, organically, or however you want to say it. It's content complete, like it has a pretty hefty campaign, a good amount of side quests, and yeah, like this doesn't happen very often. Like
Sure.
especially for a developer's first game, like they didn't have to patch anything. They didn't have to, fix major glaring issues like in a month. from now, and it's just a really polished experience, and that doesn't come around very often. So I got to give them mad props, and like they're definitely on my radar. So like whatever they make next, like I'm already there day one because I know I'm going to get a good product.
Yeah, definitely. It reminds me of I guess to a lesser extent because they're a big studio, but when Guerrilla went from doing the Killzone games to, single player, very linear first person
Mhm.
shooter style games to Horizon. And I when they announced Horizon Zero Dawn and it was going to be a third person action open world game, I was like, I don't know about this, man. Like, I like Killzone, but
Yeah,
they have no idea how to do that type of game, and I was wrong. I mean, that game's awesome. Both of those games are awesome. This is just another
yeah,
thing, they go from, as you said, being like a mobile developer to taking a crack at essentially. I don't know if I'd call it. I don't know. It's hard to say. What is AAA? I would say it's like double A plus. You know what I mean? Like it's like
mhm.
right there in the mid, but they've done a hell of a job, and they're going to be a studio definitely to pay attention to going forward. Hats off to them. They did an amazing job,
Yeah,
and it's pretty awesome. I love it. I love it. It's
yeah.
good.
I
Very
was
good so far.
I was so just wrapped up within the game that as soon as I finished it, I started a new game plus immediately. And then once I got the platinum, I like jumped on the soundtrack right away and I started listening to some songs. Like I was just fully in. I was fully invested, and it kind of caught me off guard because I did not
Sure.
expect it to be this good. Like it,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people don't like it as much as I do, but like for me, this is the exact type of game I like. I like engaging combat. It has doesn't really have RPG mechanics, but it does have the skill tree, which you're unlocking
Sure.
things at a rapid pace.
Sure.
I think if there's any criticism I would give it, it's probably just the story. It's kind of I don't want to say it falls short, but it wasn't like that interesting. Some of the side content was okay. It kind of reminded me of
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 16 side quest,
Okay.
where a
Okay.
lot
Yeah.
of them
Yeah.
weren't that great, but there was a couple in there that were actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Either way,
It
I
probably
didn't
goes
want
back
this.
to their mobile roots, by the way. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with like MMO. Like Final Fantasy 16 obviously famously was helped developed by the team that was behind Final Fantasy 14 A Realm Reborn. And
Mhm.
so you get those like MMO style side quests. So that's definitely what Final Fantasy 16 side quests reminded me of was MMO style side quests. And
Yeah.
maybe these are just more like, I'll have to get there, but maybe more of like the mobile game type side quest,
Yeah, they're
seems,
pretty straightforward.
yeah.
There was a couple where like, you're trying to help somebody find a significant other or a loved one, or so some of those kind of hit a little bit harder, but a lot of them were very simple. Luckily they're all rewarding. Like you get something, meaningful. So they're worth doing.
Yeah.
Another thing I didn't appreciate was, you have these really awesome main story sections which were primarily linear, but then when you're done with those, you go back to your home area, and then they just flood you with side quests. Like here's 10 side quests for you really quick. And it's like, gosh, like seeing all those
Yeah.
exclamation points and map markers, I'm like, I don't want to do them all right now, but I probably should.
That's definitely MMO like right there is like, oh,
Yeah.
finish main quest. Guess what? Everybody has something else for you to do. And it's
Yeah.
all going to be menial type stuff. So,
Mhm.
um, how long is the game? I've heard it's like 20-ish hours.
So if you want to just play regularly and just do a couple side quests, little side activities, probably 20 hours.
Okay.
I think my first playthrough with doing primarily everything was maybe around 32 hours.
Oh, that's
And
not bad.
yeah, it's
Okay.
not that bad at all. And then I did a speed run, like, because I already had everything unlocked at that point. All I had
And
to
you
do
can
was,
skip cutscenes on the second attempt, right?
yeah, which will
Okay.
save you a
So
lot
that
of time.
shortens things up. Yeah.
So I think my second run was like 5 to 6 hours max, maybe even shorter than that.
Yeah.
So I think all in
Yeah.
all, I got the platinum at 40 hours.
I was looking at Power Picks, Power PYX or
I
whatever, and
love them.
they rated this platinum as a 5 out of 10 if you play on normal, 3 out of 10 if you play on easy, and apparently there's no difficulty requirement for the platinum, so you can get it on easy
Yeah, you can put on story
or
mode.
story mode or whatever.
Yeah.
I like the combat too much to do that. I think the combat's pretty outstanding. It's not as hard as a FromSoft game, I would say, but it's more of like I would say like a Neo probably
Mhm.
level difficulty where they're even at the beginning. not the Alpha Natiba, but the fat guy with the
It's
two
like
barrel
the
arms
red
or whatever.
balls on
Yeah,
his
yeah.
hands. Yeah.
If you're not paying attention and you're not prepared for his like loop of attacks, he packs the wallet, man, and you're gonna get hurt. So
Yeah.
I imagine as you go through, it's gonna get more and more difficult, a little more crazy. I do have to shout out Shift Up for their monster design. I think the monsters are pretty cool in this game from what I've seen so far. I
Mhm.
expect them to get more gnarly as we go along. But like that initial Alpha Natiba, the one that just straight up takes out Tacky, that thing looked badass. And it was like
Hell
doing like
yeah.
this little chittering thing with its mouth. And it's like super creepy. And,
Yeah.
it's what draws me to the FromSoft games, not necessarily the gameplay is the gameplay, and the looping and the overcoming adversity is something that I absolutely love. But damn, dude, the creature design in those games are just so good.
Yeah, it gets
Um,
better, man. I'm telling you, there's all the enemies and bosses, especially the bosses. They just they look like things I haven't seen before. They're very unique
yeah,
designs, very cool looking. It was really fun to take them all out for sure.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
for sure.
yeah,
I mean, that's what I have to look forward to. Eve is even like the model that did are beautiful, whatever. It's all the eye candy or whatever.
yeah,
I'm not counting on much from Sam. He already seems like a douche canoe, right? Like send Eve out there, and you just sit behind a control and control a drone. Seems
Oh,
kind of like
you talking
meh.
about Adam?
Adam. Well, I don't
Yeah,
know why I said Sam.
yeah, yeah,
Adam.
yeah.
Yeah, that guy. It's like he comes in like a badass, and then like immediately he's like, you go on the mission. It's like, wait, why isn't he actually with me? Like, what's going on
Yeah.
right now?
He definitely
I'm
takes
sure
a
I'll
back
find
seat.
out, but yeah,
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much to say about this game. I loved it from beginning to end. I felt the game was very approachable and accessible. Like
yeah,
you said, like comparing it to FromSoft games, like they hit like a truck, some of those bosses. So like this game, like they
yeah,
can hit you a couple times before you feel like you need to use a health stim or health pack.
for sure.
Which I appreciated. Like I didn't want to stress out about it. I felt like you still had to be skillful. Like you really have to time
Yeah,
your parries and your dodges, and it's really rewarding when you do. Um, so yeah, just overall, like if I were to give it like a numerical number, I know this is kind of high, but I would give it a 9.5 because
okay.
it did everything I wanted it to. Like there was not a moment where I felt bored.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm just really enamored by this game and how well it turned out.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
I'm
it
looking
looks.
forward to you playing more.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. It's something that I needed a break from any type of like serious investment into a game after Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm slowly chipping away at that platinum. Honestly, it might take me a year to do that platinum because I'm in no rush. I just like whenever
Yeah,
the urge hits me, I just go in. I'll play like 2 missions, I'll hop back out, or like I'll do 2 little things and hop back out. I'm gonna take my time. I'm
yeah.
under no rush for it. But I am ready to kind of jump back into some level of game, not a long game. I have Persona 3 Reload that I want to play, but that's going to be like 150-hour investment. I already know that right off the bat.
And it's hard to make
So
that commitment after you just went through like a big hefty game.
exactly, and
You
that's
need
why I
that
kind
kind of
of needed
little
the break.
icebreaker.
Yeah. And we're 2 months away from Evo. I got to train up for that and do that kind of stuff. So, I'll get to some of those bigger games, but this is kind of like a nice little medium step towards going back to playing bigger games or whatever, and I'm looking forward to it.
So
um
I know nothing about fighting games and
sure.
Evo. So like you're gonna actually be a competitor.
Oh yeah.
So if you're good enough, you're gonna fight Daigo, whatever his name
uh,
is.
it's not, I mean, I could get matched up, technically I could get matched up with Daigo round one.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So what are the
So
requirements for getting in there? Like how do
pay
you?
pay money.
That's all it is.
They'll let any Joe Blow play, yeah, and then they do
Okay.
like yeah, they'll do like a pool system. So like in the FGC, like one of the big things is like to for the layperson who's not like a pro or whatever, the big thing to hang your hat on is, oh, I made it out of pools at Evo. I got out of my pool.
Ah,
So like that's like the big thing because you're in like a little bracket or whatever. There's a winner and a loser that comes out of each pool.
mhm.
And so, oh yeah, I made it out of pool and winners. Like, that's like, hey, I'm a badass. You know what I mean?
You're
Like
better
I'm
than
better
most.
than 99% of people just because I can do that or whatever. So
And have you done it before?
Yeah,
Have you
I've
done?
made it out of I've made it out of pools before.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Did you get a trophy for that, or any
No,
kind of
hell
award,
no.
a
Yeah,
ribbon, a
I
medal?
got the trophy of playing somebody better than me and got waxed. That's the trophy I got. I got trophy was like somebody bust my ass. That's what it
It's
is.
crazy
So
because I get the impression that you're a pretty good Street Fighter player, but
yeah.
then like you think about like the top tier players that
Oh,
are just
there's
way
levels,
better
dude.
than you.
Like so there's a famous quote from Brian Scalabrine, right?
I
Where
know him.
like yeah. Somebody told him, "Oh, compared to LeBron, you're trash." He's like, "Yeah, but I'm closer to LeBron James than you are to me."
Yeah,
And
it's
like
true.
so that's kind of like compared to like the top guys, compared to Punk, compared to Mena RD, like the big names right now, compared to Daigo, all those guys. Yeah, like I suck compared to those guys, but for the casual average person that plays the game, I'm way better than them. I'm closer to Daigo and them than a beginner is for me.
Yeah.
You know,
For those people that don't know who Brian Scalabrine is, he's like this redheaded basketball player that kind of a third string bench warmer journeyman. He's played on a
Yep.
lot of teams. He's played on my Bulls actually. He was a fan. He's always a fan favorite though. So
Yeah.
this is someone that didn't get much playing time, but if you think about it, like he made the NBA. So if he played
Mhm.
anybody on the street, he probably worked them.
Work them.
So
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny too because he's gone out of his way to play people one on one that have like talked crap or whatever, and he's absolutely smoked them.
oh, for
So
sure. Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of smoking things, Xbox, man, they're going through it. Apparently, the legal fees from the Activision Blizzard deal were a little bit too much for them. But they've shut down 4 studios, 1,900 layoffs, uh, and we're talking about Arcane,
hmm
creators of Prey and Redfall, Tango Gameworks that just came out with the incredible Hi-Fi Rush. I love that game, such a good game.
Yeah.
They also made The Evil Within and underrated gem Ghostwire Tokyo.
hmm
Um, yeah, man. What's going on with them? What the hell is happening, man? What
Dude.
It's been a tough year for video game layoffs in the industry already, but this one from Microsoft, who is just a conglomeration of different companies gobbling up IP and studios left and right, and now they're shutting them down. What the hell is going on?
It's really hard to say. We might sound like fanboys on this episode because we're going to be trashing Xbox a little bit, but mind you, I've had an Xbox before. I've had a 360. I had a Series S. I had the only one I skipped was Xbox One, but um, just this whole approach, like I don't know how you can release a game like that. It was shadow dropped, but apparently to them it was successful. It got awards. It was critically acclaimed. It was a very unique idea, and the general feeling you got was that this game was a hit for them. So
Yeah,
for them to close a year later, mind you, they just ported it to PS5 to get some extra sales in. So like I really don't understand how they can do this. Maybe it's just because they didn't make any money. Like
right.
they've always touted about, oh hey, we have 3 million players playing Hi-Fi Rush, but like out of those 3 million, how many of them bought the game? Their Xbox is all about Game Pass, right? More than games themselves. Like that's all they're pushing. They're all about the services. And when you have the game like this, that I don't know how many years it took them, but there was quite a bit of a development cost there, and you release it for quote unquote free on Game Pass. Somebody could get a 1 month sub, or somebody that's been grandfathered in on some crazy deals that we've seen.
Yep.
$1 a month, and it's just not profitable. That's the only
No.
explanation I can think of. Like, you didn't make enough money, so sorry. Like, I know your game's awesome, but we got to shut you down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it sucks, like, because I feel bad for them because they made something good. I didn't finish Hi-Fi Rush. I got distracted. I probably made it about halfway
Sure.
through. I thought it was, it wasn't like a perfect game for me, but it was unique enough. And I thought the art style was amazing. The combat required some timing, which I appreciate. There was another game similar called Metal Hellsinger. That's kind of like a rhythm shooter, which I loved. And it's kind of the same thing. Just you got to fight with the beat and everything. I thought it was a cool idea. It's unfortunate that they're closing. It really is.
Yeah, and this is listen. I I don't know, man. It's unfortunate because it just barely came to PlayStation. Xbox went through this thing where they released 4 or so games on PlayStation consoles, and like you talked about, it's not going to be profitable on Game Pass. Especially, I don't think Game Pass as a whole is profitable because you look at the development costs of these games, and that's not factored into, the subscription model or whatever that Game Pass has. They have to pay like third party games, and that's why there's no real. I don't think there's any real huge third party games that are day and date on Game Pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all Microsoft stuff or special circumstances. MLB The Show for for PlayStation Studios. They get some like Madden and NBA 2K, I think, are day one. Actually, no, not. They might not even be either.
No, I don't think those are.
Yeah. So like, what do they really have? And you're not taking into like Starfield was like 200 something million to make. They didn't nearly get that back. They don't have enough subs to pay that back. And
I heard it was upwards of 500 million.
Whatever the case
may be,
that thing didn't make any money. I don't think there's any microtransactions in that game. So,
yeah.
It sucks because I think Tango Gameworks had something. If you just let them cook a little bit. And my first thought when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna close down Tango Gameworks or whatever," is just like, cool. Maybe Sony should swoop in and like hire all those people and start like a new studio, right? It's like Lo-Fi Walk or something like that. you know what I mean? Like Lo-Fi, take your time. I don't know, but yeah, man, it's unfortunate. It sucks. But even the wealthiest of publishers in Microsoft are kind of feeling the sting. So
yeah,
we'll see where it goes.
There was a quote that Aaron Greenberg. Do you know who that is? Aaron, he's like a vice president.
I've heard of him. I've heard of him. Yeah, he
does like marketing for Xbox. He's kind of a social figure too. Like you'll see him tweeting stuff out all the time. Yeah. So last year so I'm on Twitter quite a bit. So take this with a grain of salt.
Sure.
But this is an official quote or tweet from him. Like he said, Hi-Fi Rush was a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations. We couldn't be happier with that. With the team at Tango Gameworks delivered with this surprise release. So he said, key measurements and expectations. So like you would think it would be financially a success as well, right? Like,
yeah,
I just don't know. Like I feel like there's a disconnect with the higher ups and like what we're actually getting. Like I feel like they're almost not trustworthy. Like you just can't believe what they're saying. Just before this episode, or just before this recording, there was I saw a quick little interview from Bloomberg Tech. They were talking to Sarah Bond, and they're asking her about like, "Hey, well, you had this really amazing game. Like, why did the studio have to close?" And dude, I almost felt bad for her because she just came up with this gigantic word salad and just completely walked around the question and didn't even answer it. And it's just that's the kind of energy I've been getting from them. Like, just never getting these straightforward answers. And then like they're talking about like how do you think about the future of the Xbox? Like how would players have faith in what you guys are doing? And then she kind of did the same thing, like just kind of talked around it and started talking about services and games and this and mobile and like I don't know. I just don't know what direction they're going. And I don't know. Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think of Xbox nowadays? Like when early in the when I was younger, I loved 360, and I think a lot of people did. And it was just ever since.
Yeah,
I want to say this all started during the Xbox One era. I'll get to that later, but like, what do you feel is the state of Xbox right now?
Yeah, I definitely love 360. I think I went through like 4 of them. They all red ringed, but I just wasn't. That whole $5.99 PlayStation 3 thing really turned me off, and I was able to just go through. And Microsoft has always been a company that is a little bit ahead of its time on the tech, and I just felt like they were doing a good job, but. E3 2013 really killed them, I think, with the passing off the games thing, and they went first with the I guess the digital rights management, the DRM type stuff, and not being able to share games and things like that. Sony came out afterwards with a very, very quick video of here's how you can here's how you can share your games on PlayStation. It's like one guy handing
Yeah,
his game to another guy,
that was
and
with
just
the Shuhei
absolutely,
Yoshida and Adam Boyes.
yeah,
That was
yeah. It was classic. It was classic and absolutely killed that Xbox One before it even was born. Didn't help that the machine looked like a VCR.
Mhm.
It didn't help that it was, power wise was inferior.
Just
So you see
slightly.
them in the
Yeah.
Xbox One. I mean, yeah, but you're talking about like Rise Son of Rome running at like 720p or whatever the hell it was.
900, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Just not acceptable, right? They come out with the Xbox One X, later on, that kind of boosted the power. And with Xbox Series X, these names are so confusing, man.
They were at first, yeah.
Dude, their naming conventions are dog water. I'm just gonna say it right now.
Yeah.
I'll take PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 makes much more sense than Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox
Yeah.
One X, Xbox Series. Like, what are you guys doing? But that's kind of the whole point.
I
Is
think they
that
were generation behind though to begin with. So like
sure,
PS2 and Xbox. So like had they gone with that naming convention, we would be at like Xbox 4.
sure,
And then
sure,
that,
sure.
that looks inferior to PS5. And maybe that's what they were thinking. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
but PS4, I don't know. You say that, but then it was like PS4 versus Xbox One.
Yeah.
So it's like, like
It's
six of
all
one,
in
half
one
dozen of the other.
box. It's the all in
Right.
one box,
Yeah.
man. You don't
Like,
need anything else.
I don't know, man. My thing is the naming convention is a perfect microcosm for what they do. The tech is there, right? Like the Xbox Series X is more powerful than the PlayStation in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
There are some under the hood things that PlayStation has done to kind of make their system very unique.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people find Mark Cerny to be like super boring and dry, but I love that tech stuff. So when he was talking, doing the deep dive into the PlayStation 5
Yeah.
stuff, I was riveted.
That man is a
Um,
genius, by
he
the way.
is a genius, a very nervous genius, but a genius nonetheless. But yeah, it's to me, Xbox is about acquisition for acquisition's sake. We have the most money, we can toss it around. We're going to play with the rest of Microsoft Corporation's money to fund Xbox because Xbox simply can't be profitable. And
No.
now somebody else looked at the books and is like, no, that's enough of this. It's like when daddy figures out you've been spending his money and then like cuts off your credit card for a little while. It's kind of how it's
Exactly.
going. But to
Yeah.
me, I think they're headed almost, they're on a trajectory to be the next Sega, where Sega used to make consoles. Now they're a publisher.
Like a third party
So,
publisher.
right.
I
Or
mean, they're well
they're
equipped
going
to
to
do
go
that.
in, they're going to go into the service of Game Pass. You know what I mean? And they're going to try to
Yeah.
make Game Pass ubiquitous on all these different services. So,
Yeah.
um, it's unfortunate, but that's the nature of the economy, especially in video games today. The COVID money has dried up. The pandemic made sure that people stayed home and played a lot of video games. Now people can go outside again. People enjoy being social again, and we're finally coming to, you'll occasionally see the person that's, still out there, super duper masked up, wearing like rubber gloves to the supermarket or whatever. But essentially, for most people, for the vast majority of people, life has gone back to normal.
I just got this
So,
image of those people that you see in their cars with a mask on.
yeah, I saw one of those ladies today, actually,
Yeah.
when I was driving back from, I got a teeth cleaning today,
Okay.
and she was doing that thing, that people do. So she was like bebopping to music, but she was like hitting her brakes and letting off, hitting her brakes and letting off, like making the car kind of lurch forward a little bit to the
Oh
beat of the
gosh.
music. And she was in the car wearing a mask. And I was like, get me away from this freak, dude. Like, I can't even be around this right now.
Were they
Not
driving a
safe.
Prius?
No, a beat up silver minivan.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So going back to Xbox, like if you there's one thing you forgot to mention, like in
sure.
2013, they launched the system with Connect. Like you couldn't buy it otherwise.
Oh, God.
So
Yeah.
automatically that was $500, and then compared to the $400 of the PS4, I feel like a lot of people
Yeah.
might have switched over at that point. I felt like they had a pretty good software lineup, but
Yeah.
halfway through the generation, like there was like a major drought. And I mean, I'm not going to say they didn't have any games, but like none of their games really were system sellers.
Yeah,
I'll give them props because they provided us with Ori, which is like one of my favorite games ever, and same with
sure.
Cuphead.
Yeah, or in the
Initially,
Blind
those were
Forest is
hell
awesome.
yeah, and Will of the Wisp, like they were both phenomenal
Yeah.
games, and Cuphead is just amazing in its own right. And
Oh, Cuphead.
they
Yeah.
were exclusives, you know. So I mean, I don't know if they were quite system sellers, but I felt like there was a
Were they
software
are they
drop.
first party studios though, or were they timed? Because I know Cuphead was a timed
They
exclusive.
are both timed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, yes, but what are we seeing from first party Xbox studios, right? Because to me, like, yeah, Starfield probably sold a lot, but
Yeah.
prior to that, what was their big one? Because Halo Infinite sucked. Halo 5 wasn't even. We're talking like what Gears? What are they on?
Gears
Gears 6,
4, Gears
Gears
5.
5, Gears 5 is their last. So in between Starfield and Gears 5, you like other than
Yeah.
Halo Infinite, which was by all accounts disappointing.
Mhm.
Name me another Xbox first party game that like meant a shit. I guess you could go like Forza and Forza Horizon, but like racing is a very niche market. You know what I mean? Like I love racing games. I play Forza Horizon. I have Gran Turismo 7. Like I play all those games, but
Yeah.
for the most part, they're not going to be massive system sellers, like you
Yeah.
said. So what do they really have? And that goes back to, you know, the Xbox One or whatever, going back to 2013. And it's possible, obviously, for them to recover. We saw it in the 360 PS3 era. It seems
Yeah.
like everybody that I knew had 360s, right? We all played 360s. When you go back and look at that generation, the PS3 actually sold more over its lifetime than the Xbox 360 did.
It's
So
amazing that it caught up, you know, a
it,
year
it is
behind
amazing.
selling at
Exactly. Yep.
600. So like you
Yep.
figure like, hey, well that's another
Right.
year that nobody bought the console because it was too
Right.
expensive. So
Huge snafu there. And then they had to also deal with the PSN outage as well.
hell yeah. It wasn't really
So
until they started putting out like awesome games like God of War 3 and Uncharted 2,
yeah,
Resistance franchise, and
yeah,
you know, they put another Gran Turismo on there. So it wasn't until they started putting out their heavy hitters that like, you
yep,
know, things started to shift a little bit. And then you
yeah,
go into the next generation where just PS5, PS4 just outsold them like 2 to 1 or 2.5 to 1. So like Series X and S was supposed to be like, you know, a fresh start, but like they come out of the gates just with like a mediocre software lineup, like first party offerings. Like there just wasn't really much there. And then they spent so much time getting, you know, this Activision deal done and getting Bethesda or ZeniMax integrated into Game Pass and stuff. So like I feel like they just haven't put a lot of care into their quality, well, quote unquote quality games. Like Halo Infinite should have been a massive success, but it wasn't. And from what I understand, like it was in development hell because they, instead of just hiring like a team and like, hey, this is the team you're going to be working on this for 4 or 5 years or whatever. I understand that they were doing contracting, so people were coming in and out, and the development was kind of slowed down because of that, and it just wasn't really optimized. You know, that's their crown jewel, Halo. I mean, come on, like if you had launched the Series X console with a fresh Halo game that was amazing, like that could have turned the tides and made things a little
yeah,
better. But yeah. So back to acquisitions, like if you think about it, like they got Bethesda. They were, you know, between all the studios, they released Hi-Fi Rush, Redfall, which wasn't that good either, and Starfield. And you think like, hey, well, what if they didn't even get that acquisition? What the hell would they
yeah,
have put out? It's like it's just a dire situation, and they have so many studios, and just where the hell are the games? Like this whole
yeah.
year, they haven't had anything, you know, really noteworthy. And Hellblade's less than 2 weeks away. We haven't seen any advertising for it,
Nope.
like zero. And I
Yeah,
feel like that game is going to end up being good. I'm going to play it day one. Um, it gives me like the Order 1886 vibes, where it's like this
okay.
really good looking game, but they
Yeah,
forgot to make a game. It's just not a very fun game to play. It's just more cinematic than anything, and kind of
sure.
pushes the tech. Because if you think about it, we haven't seen any combat. Like there hasn't been any kind of like combat demonstration or like just combat gameplay in general, kind of showing us what's new. They've just shown us a couple snippets here and there and cool images of whatever her name is. I can't think of her name right now, but the main protagonist, like the tech behind her, like it looks great, but like, come on, show us the goods.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate because Hellblade was generally well received. Very atmospheric game, obviously. If you haven't played it yet, I would advise you to wear headphones.
Yes.
It's a very important part of the game, very atmospheric part of the game, and you'll understand. I'm not going to spoil anything, but audio is very much a huge part of that game. But they have an opportunity here to have something, and just not marketing it. It's just very odd to me. It makes me feel like Ninja Theory is probably on the chopping block too. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I could honestly see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, this will be a game that comes to Game Pass, and I think within like a year of it not making enough money or not pushing Game Pass subscriptions, that they bring it over to PlayStation, shutter the studio. This seems to be what they're doing. They have to cut costs somewhere to pay for Call of Duty. They have to cut costs somewhere to pay for the rest of Activision stable. They also now own, Diablo, the IP, because of Activision, or I mean Blizzard, StarCraft. Like all these big IPs that you would think that they could really. I mean, listen, if they came out with StarCraft 3, like holy shit, dude, that would make so much money. Like I've been wanting to play a new StarCraft game for a while, but they're just not out.
Yeah.
We hung around for years and years trying to do that. Diablo 4 seems to have been very successful in sales for Blizzard, despite the fact that there were a couple snafus. And I played Diablo 4, and that game's fun, man. That game's cool. So they have to pay for this somehow, and it's going to be these marginal teams like Ninja Theory, like Tango Gameworks, that get the axe. And it's unfortunate because they're, I mean, think about the history of these studios. Arcane, for God's sake, dude, Dishonored is sweet.
Yeah.
Right? Freaking oh man, I'm spacing on it right now.
Prey?
No. The last one that came out for PlayStation. Freaking,
is it a first party game?
It's a first person shooter. Oh god. Let's see. I gotta look it up now.
Is it, who makes it?
Arcane made it.
Arcane made it? Deathloop.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
There we go. Dude, Deathloop was hella cool. I played the shit out of that game.
I beat it.
Sorry, y'all. We're in our 40s. Our memory's starting to fade a little bit. We need to do some nootropics and do some Sudoku or something. And
dude, I swear, like I'll play a game, and if you ask me a month later what it was about, I'd be like, I don't know, man. That was like 3 games ago. I don't remember at all.
Yeah. Do you remember? Wait. I gotta ask you a question since we're on memory. Do you remember any birthday parties before the age of 10?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of them, or just like one?
There was one specifically. I remember, like I was playing X-Men in my mom's room, like during the birthday party, and like I had like my friends and my cousins like watching me play, and they're like, "Oh, you're really good at this game." I'm like, "Hell yeah!" It was X-Men on like Sega Genesis.
Okay.
Yeah, but I remember it was our backyard, and I remember like some of the Chuck E. Cheese parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I remember shit from when I was a kid. I'm like, I don't know if I had I did kind of have like not the best childhood, but like, man, I have some core memories, but for the most part, it's just like,
yeah, it's crazy how that works.
I remember going to my grandparents' house a lot, and that's like a core memory, and I really enjoyed that. And I remember, anyway, we're getting off topic now.
I think most of my core memories were from high school.
Oh yeah,
like,
a lot of.
I remember a lot of high school for sure.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. Anything after like, really, I remember 7th and 8th grade too. Anything after elementary school, I remember more. But like, the point being, sometimes we play games that we love and just don't. Deathloop was sweet.
Yeah, it was a fun game.
Like, I remember the main character's name is Cole.
Oh, was it?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. See,
I don't know. Yeah. I just remember like doing the same thing over and over again, getting little pieces of information.
Yeah.
And then
that game was cool though. It was sweet, man.
It didn't give you as much freedom as I thought it would. In regards to like, hey, you found this clue, so now we're going to set you up for the next area. You're going to go to this area, and then you're going to find out what we need you to find out, and then you go back. It kind of like it sets up a linear path for you. but it
Oh
makes
yeah,
it
you
feel
definitely have
like
to beat
it's
you have to beat the bosses in a certain order for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then it kind of automatically like sets you up for the final encounter where you
Uh-huh.
have to
Yeah.
take everybody out at the same time.
Yep.
Like you
Yep.
didn't have to memorize it in your head, like, oh shit, I need to go here first. The game kind of does that for you.
Yeah.
Which
So
I'm okay with that. Like I don't want to figure it out. Like I'm too lazy for that shit.
I know. I know. Speaking
Yeah.
of not being open and giving you enough choice, man, why are gamers always complaining about stuff, Frenchie? It's like you know the one that pisses me off is the one that
Yeah.
you and Tori tried to bullshit last week.
What was that?
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has too much stuff in it. I can't play the Golden Path only. It's too dense. Why do they make me do all this stuff? Like, hey, for you guys, you don't want to do that. That's fine. You don't have to do it. And if you're gonna complain about, well, that's not the way I play, that's a you issue. But like,
Hey, our
man,
boy
don't
Colin
don't
Moriarty says the
listen.
same thing. He
Yeah,
didn't do
and
every.
he's wrong too. And he's wrong too.
No, he's
And I'll
not.
tell you this.
He did what he wanted to do. He got what he
Mhm.
wanted out of the game, and for him, it still took him like 80 plus hours.
Sure. Sure, but at the same time, I feel like him advocating, "Oh yeah, this could be like, this should be way shorter." In your opinion, it should be shorter, but then for somebody like me who just loves to live in that world, for somebody who, and I'm fortunately I have a wife that allows me to play video games and things like that, but like, some of these people get maybe one game a year. It's why Call of
Mhm.
Duty sells so well every year. They get like one game to play every year. And if your one game is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and you're advocating for like not making it as dense as it is, like, I don't know, man. It just seems to me like it's better to have it and not need to see it than being like, damn, dude, I wish I had more of that. You know what I mean?
It's kind of a thin line, because I
Uh-huh.
don't have to do everything, but
Sure.
it's just the type of gamer I am, and I like to see it all. So like once you get to certain areas where you're doing like you're chasing freaking Moogles around, like did that have to be in the game? Like, how did that add to my experience of the game?
I listen,
Cactuar Crush, like did that have to be in there?
there are people. My tattoo artist, the one that did my big old sleeve, has a cactuar tattooed on him. He would probably love Cactuar Crush. He would
I
probably
doubt
sit
it.
there and play it. You know what I mean? There is somebody out there that absolutely loves Moogles and just wants to do Moogle stuff.
Yeah,
There is something there. Just because it's not for you doesn't mean it's not for anyone. And so
yeah,
my thing is like, yeah, I could have done without the Moogle stuff. After a while, I was like, all right, I don't necessarily want to do all this anymore. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's in the grand scheme of things, it's such a small part of the game, and it's such a
yeah,
big part of Moogles are a big part of Final Fantasy, right? Like
yeah.
Chocobo, a big part of Final Fantasy. Cactuar, Tonberry King, like all that stuff. They're across Final Fantasies over and over again. You see these characters, so they're gonna fit them in somewhere. Just because it's not the implementation you would want, and it goes back to, um, you know, Stellar Blade. We'll go back to that. The big
Mhm.
controversy, right? Like, oh, they changed the bunny outfits. You can't see as much of her boobs. It's just like,
Yeah.
bro,
And then like the Steam thing
who
with
cares?
Helldivers,
Yeah.
like the people are upset that they had to link their
Now that
PSN
well,
account.
well, but that's different though. That one to me is different. That one's fundamentally different because there are countries where you can't get PSN accounts, but all
Mhm.
you can play through is Steam. So if you're required to have a PS, you've effectively cut off service to those people in those countries that bought the game. That I think is not a good business practice. And
It's not a good
right,
look. Yeah.
rightfully, no, I mean it's like literally you're robbing somebody of their money. You've been like,
Mhm.
okay, thank you for giving me your money, your microtransactions or whatever. If you bought, what are the battle passes called?
Like the war
Yeah, the
bonds or
war
something.
bonds.
Yeah.
Thank you for buying like these 3 war bonds. Now you can't even play the game. Too bad, so sad. And because it's on Steam, and we know you played more than 2 hours, Steam's not gonna refund you.
Yeah.
Sony rightfully backtracked on that after a huge stink. But that to me is different. That's actually taking somebody's money from them rather
Yeah.
than, oh, Stellar Blade changed the booby suit. I can't look at it. Meh.
Bro,
Like
that
that
game
stuff's
is
stupid.
so revealing anyways. Like there's enough
Right.
there
It
for all the
doesn't
kids,
matter.
you know?
She has like an idle animation where her boobs jiggle, dude. Like, have you seen her climb up and down a ladder? Like, you got plenty to look at without
Yeah.
having to like
Like
cry about this costume. It's so dumb.
when you're aiming a gun and you're walking side to side, like her boobs jiggle for you.
Yeah.
That's not enough for you. You know,
Isn't there like a bikini costume anyway?
there's something called a skin suit, which you're not
Well,
wearing
I
any
know the
kind.
skin
Yeah,
suit, but I think there's another one that's like essentially
yeah.
a bikini.
I think it's called a monsoon suit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like a blue, like a two-piece
Yeah.
bikini.
Yeah.
There's one for like it's pretty much like a lingerie, like a full lace outfit for getting every single can in the game.
Yeah.
Like there's some revealing stuff in that game, but like
Right.
honestly, like to me, none of that stuff even had to be in there. This is a different
No.
topic, but like the game itself is just phenomenal. So like just be happy with what
Sure.
you're getting. Like don't
Sure.
worry about like them adding a little piece of lace or
Yeah.
tightening up the bikini line. Like it's just there's a certain person out there that really cares about that stuff, and I'm just like, dude,
It's just
that's what Pornhub is for, bro.
exactly like are you that horny that you need Eve to be wearing like that specific thing? It's dumb. That to me is dumb.
Yeah.
You know, there's other dumb things that people out there complain about, you know, just about their games or whatever. And it's just like
I feel like it's something every week. You know, like when Dragon's Dogma came out, they had like the whole microtransaction fiasco.
Mhm.
I can't really bring up any examples off the top of my head because most of the time when I see this stuff, I just keep scrolling. Like I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like I got Twitter like in 2010, right? And
Sure.
I didn't use it for 10 years. I just recently got it in 2020 because I was really excited for the PS5 stuff, and I wanted to, share my experiences and kind of be involved in the hype. And then I saw how gamers really are on there, fucking always bitching about something, and it's just take console warring aside, like that's a whole nother beast right there. But just like there always has to be an issue. There always I don't get it. I don't know if it's an entitlement. Like people don't know how good they have it now. Like these games are phenomenal these days. Like I don't know.
It's that saying. That's why we can't have nice things. You know, there's always something. I mean, you're a sports guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Bulls could be having an incredible season. You as a Bulls fan, but there's Bulls fans out there that no matter how good it is, they're going to be like, well, Lonzo Ball turned it over in the third quarter. I mean, we could use an upgraded point guard. You can be the best team in the league, and it doesn't matter. Same thing, like you can't please everybody, and so I think that you just kind of got to go with the flow and do the best you can. But man, it seems like gamers especially are a very touchy group. Very, very sensitive about like what they're getting, how they're getting it. What they're so entitled to. Oh, we should get this. Like, come on, guys.
Mm-hmm.
You get just. I remember back in the day where it was like $85 for a cartridge of Mario 3 or whatever, and that's the game, dude. No patching, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's busted, it's busted. Like that's what you're playing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we made the most out of that. There are a ton of ways to break these games. I remember in the original Super Mario Brothers that you could break that game. You could go to a stair, get the pixel just right, jump up as a turtle's coming down, and continuously jump on him. And you get so many extra lives that your life was represented by a square pixel of the sky on the screen. And that's how many lives you had. There were ways to like move a pixel and break a brick to stick yourself in the brick so you can get on top of the level and then go find the little warp zones or whatever. Yeah. And so, you have those things. And I get a broken game. It's something that should be patched. That's something that you can give feedback on. But some of these people cry about like, oh, the game is broken. Like, dude, give it time. I get it. Like, this is, games weren't always like this. Like, man, games have always been broken and they've gotten infinitely more complex.
Oh, for sure.
Game QA is hard. I think a lot of these companies now kind of do it on purpose, release these because they know the community is going to find it, right? Like if you want to find all the bugs in your game, give it to the community because they're going to try everything they can to break that game.
Oh, for sure.
They're going to do everything they can to split that thing wide open. But just the sheer temper tantrums that are thrown, it's just sad, man.
It really is. I don't know if there's much more to say on it. I don't want to harp on it too much.
And listen, there's a lot of gamers that love their games and things like that, and that's awesome.
One thing I'll say is that there are a lot of games that launch on day one not optimized to the
Oh
to
yeah,
the fullest. So you're almost better off just waiting for a sale. And if you're one of those
yeah,
people, then just do that. Like, but if there's a game I
sure,
really like, I'll just buy it day one because
yeah.
I don't want to
I
say I
mean,
want to support the studio, but like I want to play it. Like I want to play the game like day one. I don't want to wait.
I played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on graphics mode for a long time because I didn't like how soft the performance mode was. They
Yeah.
eventually patched it and I switched over, but like, I wasn't like harping on it the whole time. Like, I can't play this game because it's like not. Dude, I'm doing that voice a lot. I'm like really making fun of people, so I should probably stop. But
You're making fun of all the anime
all,
PFPs.
yeah, yeah. Why is Sasuke like that? He's not like that, or whatever. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just said a name. I don't. Who's Sasuke, and is he in like Naruto or something?
Dude, I have no idea what you're talking
I
about
don't.
right
I'm
now.
just see. I'm just saying stuff that. Why is
Sasuke?
Why does Saitama never get challenged by anybody? Like, because he's literally the One Punch Man. Like that's what he's supposed to be. Like that's the character.
Bro, I think it's
That's the whole fucking joke. Is that he's so strong that he's never challenged. That's the whole joke.
dude, I don't even watch anime anymore, so I have no idea what you're talking about. I think the last anime
Oh.
I watched was like I don't know, Princess Mononoke or something like that.
Oh my god, everybody says Princess Mononoke.
Of course,
That's
I was a
funny.
big Dragon Ball person. Like,
Sure.
my neighbor had. So I watched it before he even made it to the States. So like,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
would
On the
go to
bootleg
LA and
VHS.
bootleg
Yeah.
VHS. We would watch it
Yep.
in freaking Japanese with no subtitles, and it was amazing.
Don't pirate, kids. Don't pirate.
It's definitely a thing of the past, right? That people don't do that
Mm.
anymore.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Well,
yeah.
our last topic is kind of a bland one, but I feel like it's kind of noteworthy.
It is noteworthy.
Yeah. So this was a tweet that was put out by Nintendo. It says, as of June 10th, 2024, it will no longer be possible to post screenshots and videos to X, formerly Twitter, from the Nintendo Switch's album, or send friend requests to social media users via the friend suggestions feature. So this is okay. So I'll just say it. Like I don't really play Switch a lot, so like doesn't affect me too much, but it did affect me when this happened at PlayStation 5.
Sure.
Like I love to share shit. I love to watch other people's clips, and that was part of the reason I got on Twitter. Like back in going back to that conversation back in 2020, because I wanted to see people's gameplay. Like it was an exciting time because Ghost of Tsushima was out, The Last of Us was out, PS5 was right around the corner with Miles Morales and Demon Souls. So like I was super hyped, and that was like my favorite thing to do. So like now I think Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation don't have any kind of avenue to directly stream or share via the console, which kind of sucks because they all have share buttons. I don't know if the Switch does, but I know Xbox and PS5 do. So Twitter is going to be even worse, or it has been worse. I don't know how long you spend a day on Twitter. I like to scroll. I'm at work a lot, so like I have a lot of downtime. I like to just see what's going on, see what the gamers are bitching about. But now it's definitely worse because we don't have anything to watch. There's no gameplay. The conversation's becoming even more stale.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, what do you think about this? Like, why do you think all this is even happening? Is it like a Twitter? Is it an Elon Musk thing? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think when you open up that platform and you make it so that it's like purely based on, or attempting to make it purely based on free speech, then you allow in a lot of things that sidetrack the conversation. Like I can't go on it. Like the big thing now is right. You're on X and you go through a thread, and like one of the first comments is always like, "I'm just here for the comments that have nothing to do with the original post and have nothing to add to this conversation whatsoever." And it really is. You know what I mean? That there's like porn bots flying around. OnlyFans bots sticking up, like
pussy in bio.
Yeah, dude, I can't even open that shit at work. I feel like unsafe opening that stuff at work. At least the comments, right? Like I never open. I can scroll through because my feed is, sports and things like that, video games.
Yeah.
But like I never go into the comments because that's just, that's asking for trouble. Especially like, dude, the poor soul that accidentally leaves his sound up in public and like clicks on, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Just all of a sudden. Anyway,
it's embarrassing.
I don't know, man. I am of the impression that Elon Musk wants a free speech platform, but at the same time, if Twitter dissolved it to nothing, would he be that upset about it? I don't know that he would. I don't think he gives enough of a shit. He likes to troll. That's what he likes.
It's almost like he bought it just for fun, just because you can.
Yeah, just to take it away from the people that were doing that. I do feel like I don't really give a shit about this either. This news, like the social media integration and stuff like that. How in depth was that on a console that's at the end of its life cycle? That is like 5 years, even beyond that, behind on technology. You know, Nintendo, man, for how long? I mean, listen, if you want to add somebody on the Switch to be homies with, you got to do this whole code,
Yeah, it's not like
the
a username,
friend
huh?
code. It's just like there's no better way to do this. Like, really though? Because
Wasn't there
once you do the
online infrastructure like that too, where you had to like
yeah,
use the
it's all
app
dog
to
shit.
use
Yeah,
voice chat or
it's
some
all dog
shit?
shit. Dude, if your Nintendo Switch broke for the longest time, um, or maybe it was DS. I don't know. For the longest time, and I don't know if it is still the case because I haven't checked, but like
Mhm.
your transactions, like if you bought a game and that thing broke, like that you didn't have that game anymore. You had to rebuy it on the new thing.
Oh, because it was stuck on the
It
console
was
or the
stuck.
handheld,
It
huh?
was console locked to that whatever that console was, rather than attached to your Switch or whatever your Nintendo Online account. And I'm just like, man, like Nintendo is successful because of their IP and because of the fact that like most of what they put out is super polished. Obviously, you have the Mario games. Obviously, you have Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Like, you know, Pokemon. You have some other stuff. It's
Mhm.
just their technology is bad. I
Yeah.
expect the Switch 2 to be like maybe PS4 level, maybe.
It might be like slightly under it.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I could
like
see
my
that.
expectations of the technological gap for it, I think the Nintendo Switch like undocked is 720p, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and its max resolution is 1080p in 2024.
At like 30 frames, most of their games.
Yeah, most of their
Yeah.
frames are 30. Now, I will say, you know, if you get a good developer like Nintendo with Tears of the Kingdom,
Mhm.
you don't notice that because of the frame pacing and the animation.
Yeah.
So instead of doing realism, Link will just turn like on a dime, right? Like if you slow down the animation, whereas a lot of games are like, okay, well, he's got to do this. You slow
Mhm.
down that, he instantly turns. And so it keeps the game feeling more fluid than it would otherwise.
More responsive, yeah.
Um, yeah, and that's a stylistic choice. But Nintendo's never going to be the home of the huge third parties and things like that. They've just built up a brand, they've built up brand loyalty, and they've built up the stable of IPs that can carry them forward. And they
Mhm.
roll them out in a pattern where you're getting one every 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And you'll get good interstitials like Super Mario Wonder is awesome. Game is fucking
Hell
awesome.
yeah.
You know, so you get Super Mario Odyssey, then you get Breath of the Wild or whatever, or you get Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, then you get like Tears of the Kingdom, then
Mhm.
Super Mario Wonder. They got the Metroid Prime,
Metroid Dread, I think, the other one.
Metroid Dread, but they did the
Yeah, like 2D.
Metroid Prime remake or whatever, or the
Mhm.
remaster. Um, you know, you have, and then they'll have some new ones like Splatoon is like one that
Yeah.
people tend to like a lot.
And they keep
Um,
supporting Mario Kart 8,
right,
which
Mario
is
Kart,
crazy.
Smash. So you got Smash Brothers, you know,
Yeah.
those type of things that kind of keep it going. But for this, I don't know, man.
Even though you said all that, like if they launched the Switch 2 with a brand new 3D Mario, I'm buying that shit day one.
I'm still gonna buy it day one because I love Nintendo stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends because I don't. The rumor is the Switch 2 isn't going to have an OLED screen, and I want an OLED screen.
I heard the same thing. Yeah. They're
Like,
probably going to do the same thing. They'll have an LCD screen that looks pretty
and
good.
then,
And
yeah,
then halfway
yeah.
through, they'll do the OLED to get even more sales. But yeah, I don't know. Switch.
I guess it doesn't really matter because I have a Steam Deck, and when the Steam Deck OLED came out, I'm like, man, fuck it, I'm not, I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
So
Do you have the original Steam deck that launched, or
yeah,
did you buy the version 2 or whatever it was?
no, I bought the version 2.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
There was a
yeah, because the original had
OLED.
some
It was
issues.
OLED, right? The new
No,
one's
no, no,
OLED.
no. The new one's OLED. Oh yeah, so I got the original one.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When the OLED one came out, I'm like, I'm not buying that.
Yeah. Going back to the Switch, like their games don't speak to me as much anymore. I
Okay.
know that obviously it's Zelda and Mario, like I'm all about it. but like once I'm done with those, like that's about it. Like if you look behind me or right there,
Yeah.
that's all the Switch games I have.
Yeah.
9 out of the 10 or 12 that's there is like Mario games.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like once I'm done with that, like I don't have much use for the console.
Sure.
And that's just my personal taste. Like I'm not shitting on it. It's just not for me anymore.
Yeah, I do think that the online services, so like where you can play the old Nintendo, Super Nintendo games and the 64 games, like that online functionality is super cool.
Really
I
cool.
definitely enjoy that. Yeah.
And they added Sega too, like Sega games, and
yeah,
I think N64. There's a couple gems in there for sure. I actually went through Mario 1, 2, and 3 on it last year. Beat them all in like a day. It was amazing. Classic games. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I like listen, as a consumer, you never want somebody to take something away from you. But at the same time, would it shock me that there weren't that many people using this? No. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm curious to see what the numbers are, but I can't imagine there was a ton of people using that feature.
Yeah.
And I guess there's some workarounds, like you can hook your Switch up via PC, USB cable to your PC and still get the screenshots off, or you can create an ad hoc network with your phone that you could then share, the media and stuff. So it's just, I think it's just there was a native thing on the Switch that you could do that they're not going to do anymore. And that could be like maybe somebody found a vulnerability or something. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just not as streamlined as it once was. Even with the PS5, like their solution was like, hey, anytime you take a video or a picture, it's going to upload to the cloud. You can access it on your phone and then share it from there. But like for most people, like that's just one extra step that they don't even want to do. And then they don't end up sharing it. And then I don't get to see it, man. I want to see the gameplay, bro.
Right.
It's all good. Well,
it is what it is, dude.
It is, yeah.
So
I think that's about it, huh?
Yeah, that's all we got for you this week, ladies and gentlemen. But short and sweet show, but we like to keep it that way sometimes. A little bit of a slow time in the gaming industry, but Microsoft has a showcase coming up, I think, next month in June. Hopefully some big announcements there. We'll get a little bit further into stuff that we're playing, and our boy Tory Pines will be back next week, and we can lambaste him for yet bearing another game in his graveyard. I'm sure it's something. So,
dude, I bet you $10 he did not finish Unicorn Overlord.
Oh, 100% he didn't.
Definitely did not finish. He's probably like 25% of the way through, and
dude, he probably beat Nier Automata again today for his birthday.
For his 26th time. He probably timed it on purpose just to make sure that it was on his birthday.
Yeah. He was like, "Ooh, 2B, do it again."
Hey, are you gonna play Hellblade day one, or like around, like maybe like when the first launches?
Probably not. I'm gonna see what the reviews are.
Yeah. So I have a. Yeah, go
ahead. I'm very limited on, especially like I got to buckle down for Evo, so like my gaming time is going to be it's Street Fighter's going to eat up a lot of it coming up. But I was just waiting for May 22nd because they're doing the balance patch and they're releasing Akuma, and then once they do that, then like I'll really dive into it. So I think that's going to kind of be where I'm at right now. So
that would be the shrewd thing to do. Because you don't want to get your ass whooped.
No, you don't want to go 0-2. That's what we call a pot monster, aka you committed money to the pot just for somebody else to get it. At the end of the day, we're all pot monsters, but you want to feel like you got your money's worth, right? You go 0-2 and you're just like, oh man, I suck.
That seems like a fun community, to be part of, and
it is
even if you lose, just hang out and watch everybody else play.
It is a fun community. Sometimes the pop-offs are crazy though. I don't advise anybody to do this, but I also advise everybody to do this. Go look up the grudge match between Viscant and Low Tier God.
Viscant and Low Tier God. I'm going to check it out after this.
Low Tier God. Viscant and then Low Tier God. They have a grudge match, and the shit talk between those two is fucking crazy.
Viscant.
Yeah, Viscant.
Okay, I found it.
Yeah.
I'll check it out after this.
Bro, you can kind of skip most of the fighting stuff if you're not interested in that. Although it's a good set. It is a fun set between those two. But the interviews ahead of time and then afterwards, oh my god.
I think the only thing I've ever seen from Evo is that infamous Daigo like parry or whatever.
The Daigo parry, yeah.
I don't know how the hell he pulled that shit off. That was
Dude,
years and years ago, but like I still remember seeing that. Like,
when they
amazing.
re-released Third Strike on the 360, and so they had like Third Strike Online or whatever,
Mhm.
one of the challenges, the 10th parry challenge, was the Evo challenge.
Oh,
So you
how
had to do the
cool.
whole thing, and it was hard as shit.
Yeah.
So
That's
because
cool that
that
you
like
yeah.
it's not like straight timing. So like there'll be certain attacks, like somebody will throw like I think it's Necro throws like this ball that's like just pure electricity or whatever, and you can just mash forward and parry the whole thing. But like Chun Li's, you have to do it at a certain cadence, and then in the middle of it, there's like a break, and when she switches sides,
Yeah.
and that like you got to start doing it again. And then with the last hit, Daigo jump parried it, and then went into the full combo. And I was like, man, now
This
now
guy.
you're just flexing. Now you're just flexing on him. So
He's still doing
yeah,
it,
it was.
right? He's still in the game.
Oh,
He's still
yeah,
playing
yeah, yeah.
Street Fighter 6
He's
and
not yeah, he's not I mean, he's, like as we age or whatever, it's a young man's game. Like a lot of the kids are the ones that are winning, but
yeah.
he's still very competitive. He's just not winning a ton of tournaments anymore. So
So
mostly streams now, and I think it's awesome.
Street Fighter 3 was like the only game I remember having a parry. Was there other fighting games that did that?
So Street Fighter 6 has parry.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Street Fighter 5, certain characters could parry.
Hmm.
Street Fighter 4 had a single use parry called a focus attack. So you could do a focus attack and it would eat one attack. It couldn't be like an armor breaking attack and then multiple hitting attacks would like end up breaking the focus attack.
Hmm.
But each game had its own like little thing. So focus attack, you could also dash cancel out of the focus attack, and that would open up like new combo paths and things like that. So
Okay.
um, and then Street Fighter 5 had like V trigger and V skill, so there are certain things that you could like do. Street Fighter 6 is a pretty universal type thing. There's like drive rush, parry, there's drive reversal, um,
Hmm.
drive impact, which is like a universal like blow through an attack or whatever. But everybody is pretty much kind of the same, right? Like everybody can do the same thing. So it's not like one guy can do a parry, but then the other guy can't. Like all characters can parry.
Yeah.
So
So Street
yeah.
Fighter is probably your favorite one, you would say, out of all the fighting games?
Oh yeah, easily.
What's
Easily
second?
yeah.
What's second to you?
Usually the Arc Sys games.
The Arc System?
Arc Systems works, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Like the
they
Guilty
do
Gear and
like Guilty Gear.
BlazBlue.
Uh-huh. And
Okay.
they also did Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Yeah,
Which
the game is
pretty fucking
cool.
sweet, dude.
I have
Yeah.
no idea what
So
I'm
that
doing in it, but it looks
yeah,
so fucking cool.
yeah. And then I was a big fan of like the Marvel vs. Capcom games too. Not Infinite was like whatever, but like Marvel 2 and 3 were like amazing. Love those games.
2 was, yeah, I remember playing that on the
Yeah.
Dreamcast. Good
Yeah.
times.
Ultimate Marvel 3 I love too. Like those such fun times, man.
Was it?
So oh yeah.
Okay.
But I guess Maximilian and company are working on like a cell shaded mod for Marvel Infinite, which would be Marvel
Oh, was
vs.
that what he
Capcom
was
Infinite.
posting? Because I saw
Yeah,
some
yeah,
like
yeah,
cell shaded
yeah.
images of Venom that he was
Yeah,
sharing
yeah.
with
So
us.
they're working on cell shading the game so that it looks more like Marvel 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that could be cool. Because
So that's
Marvel
PC only, I'm
Infinite's
assuming.
gameplay is like actually good. It's just
Yeah.
like it just didn't hit the spot in the same way,
Yeah, I feel like the art style kind of didn't do it any favors either.
Right. Yeah. So if you can get back to the cell shading and stuff, that'll probably
Mhm.
help it out a lot.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I'm probably gonna play Hellblade because I didn't mention it, but I started Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth,
Yeah.
and oh my god, I've only finished one chapter. It probably took me like 3 hours,
You're
and I
like,
think
oh my
like
God,
two and a
I gotta
half
do
of
this.
it was like just dialogue and cutscenes.
Ugh, damn.
So it's definitely like a slow burn, but
Yeah.
like I know it's gonna pick up later, and I'm pretty sure I'm on my way to Honolulu and gonna check out Waikiki Beach and all that. Which
Okay.
I've been to Hawaii like 4 times in my life, and I
Yeah.
I had a really good time there. So like it's gonna be cool just exploring being in an RPG and in a Hawaii setting. So we'll see how
Right.
that
And
goes.
then you could totally like just like, come on, fellas.
Yeah, so like I think I'm gonna kind of get burnt out like
Yeah.
after like 2 weeks of playing that. So I think that's when I'm gonna take a break, jump into Hellblade, just probably check it out, beat it in like a day or two.
Sure.
because I don't think it's gonna be that long. I could probably beat it within a couple days at least, and then I'll just jump back to Yakuza. I've only ever played Like a Dragon, and
Yeah.
it's a pretty hefty game, man. It's a lot, and I don't know if I want to do that right now, but I don't have
Yeah.
much else in the backlog that I'm interested in right now. So, but yeah,
You take them as they come, and sometimes I'll do the thing where I start a game and I'm like, I'm not feeling this right now. I actually do this weird thing where if I'm overly excited for a game, I will also delay playing it because like I know that it's going to suck me in and I'm not going to do anything else. So I
yeah,
will actually delay playing something that I love or that I know that I'm going to love because I'm just like, I really want to play this, but also like if I play this, one, it's going to suck me in. Two, then it's going to be over and I don't want it to be over. So like, I don't know. It's a weird thing where I'll just like kind of toe the water and then be like, and then when I finally do jump into it, I'm just obsessed and just play the whole thing all the way through.
it's
So
funny that you said that because I just bought No Rest for the Wicked. It's in early
okay,
access on Steam.
sure,
I
sure,
played
sure.
it for a day, and like I just wasn't really feeling it at the time. I
Yeah,
know it's going to be a great game, but I just didn't. I don't know. I just didn't want to play that style of game. It kind of required a lot
yeah,
out of you because they kind of market it as a Souls like in the action RPG genre,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I just didn't want to do it at the time. So like I got a refund, and I'll just wait for the full release, and I'll kind of go into it all at that point. But sometimes you're just not really feeling a particular
No,
game or a genre. It's just got to play what kind of calls to you.
it and the thing. So famously for me, Elden Ring was kind of like that. I didn't play it at first. Like I did, but I was just like, I'm not feeling this right now. I don't know
Mhm.
why. I'm just not feeling this. But then like I wouldn't stop thinking about the game. I was like, man, I want to play it, but like not today. But then I'd
Yeah,
think about it again. I'd be like, and then I finally played it, and that's all I played for like 2 months, and I was just like, going through it. So
dude, that's me with CD Project games like Witcher
yeah,
3. I played it. I'm like, dude, this isn't working for me. Like, I'm doing all these side quests. I'm getting 5 experience for them. I'm not getting
hmm
rewarded. So I put it away, and then I gave it another chance, and I just fell in love with it. Same thing
yeah,
with Cyberpunk. Like, I played it for like maybe 5 to 10 hours at first, and I was like, I don't know, this game's just not that fun. It's not really what I'm looking for coming off of Witcher to this. It's like a brand new setting. So I put it away, tried it on the PS5 patch, and then like I don't know what it was, but it clicked, and I just beat the whole
yeah,
game. That month. Just
yeah.
right place, right time. Sometimes.
That's how it goes sometimes. So,
Yeah.
um, I kind of want to go back. Now that they fixed everything in Cyberpunk, I've heard it's like a way better game. Like I played
Yeah.
it on launch, and there was definitely I played it on PC, so I didn't have a ton of issues, but there was definitely some like jank to it that I was like, like
Yeah.
there were times where I had like companions T-pose and like go along the mission path, and I'm like, oh
hmm
no, this is
Yeah. I think
bad.
they
But
pretty much ironed it out. Like it's a solid
yeah,
game now. I played it on PS5, and it worked pretty well on there.
and
But
then
you
I
could.
I need to go shit. I need to go back and play The Witcher 3 too because I didn't play the Blood and Wine expansion. I didn't play what
Yeah.
was it Hearthstone or Hearth the
Uh,
house whatever
House of
the
Cards.
house the house build the house building aspect of it or whatever.
Uh,
I've heard Blood and Wine is like
Hearts of
legit.
Stone or some shit.
Hearts of Stone, yeah,
Is that what it
something
was
like that.
called?
I don't know. Yeah,
Blood and
something like
Wine
that.
was really good though.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I heard. So I need to go back and play that. It's just such a big daunting game.
Oh yeah, that's definitely like another like 80-hour
I
game for
will
sure.
say when you go to the bog area and you meet those like witches with like the basket heads and shit,
hmm
that song is amazing. Like, dude, that song is so cool. I sat there in dialogue forever just to listen to that song. I was just like, dude, this song is like creepy and cool.
That's me in
So
Stellar Blade. I would just listen to the music.
yeah, just sit
So
there.
good. Right on.
All right, fellas. Yeah, we could do this, ladies and gentlemen, for as long as we could. But I think we both got some work in the morning, and we got to get out of here. So
Yeah.
thank you as always for joining us. For Frenchie, for myself, we love having you guys here. Thank you for sliding into the Pixel Playground again. Until next time, we'll see you.
See ya.